What is free will and do we have it? If you've been following along, this is another episode of my series of Are We Living in a Simulation? If you're not following along, freaking follow, man. It's going to blow your mind. But this is chapter 2, what I call the human supercomputer. As we approach free will, let's talk about the hungry judge effect. There was a study performed by Dan Ariely. He was looking at the Israeli judicial system and wanted to find any correlations when it comes to parole. Why some people get parole and why some people don't. You want to know what the biggest indicator was? How long it had been since the judge had eaten. So if you were unlucky enough to get a hungry judge, there was a significant higher likelihood that you would get a harsher ruling. You wouldn't get parole. But if your judge was well fed, bro, they were so patient, they were so empathetic, they weren't reactive, they were just vibing. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to get parole or you're standing before a judge, you better pray they just ate recently. But that's not even the craziest part. Sure, this suggests that human decision-making isn't always rational, or it isn't always a case of free will. Whether you were full or hungry had a massive impact on your empathy. So your decision-making is heavily impacted by physiological states. Hunger, fatigue, stress. That's not the most interesting part. The interesting thing about this is all of the judges had rational excuses for why they didn't give someone parole. In their heads, they made the decision for different reasons. And hunger was not a factor. Here's the thing, there are high-level emotions. Empathy is one of them. They require a high level of energy. If you do not have the energy, you will not experience those emotions. A car cannot go without gas. But you don't choose whether you want to experience it or don't want to experience it. It just happens. And then your brain will come up with a rational reason for why you're making the decisions you are. Even though in different circumstances you would make a different decision. That's all invisible to you. We attach logic in arrears. Logic is not a part of our decision making always. A lot of times a decision is made and then we retroactively apply logic to why we made that decision. Does this show that we're not in control? But honestly, this is like the least surprising finding I've ever come across. I could have told you this. So many people in my life, when they're acting crabby or they need something, it's just like, bro, get them a nap, get them a sandwich, and then they're gonna be a new person. But for real, if you ever have to go stand in front of a judge, bring a sandwich with you, bring a snack with you, and give it to him, or her, or it, if we get to the point where AI becomes our judges. Because that could literally be the deciding factor on whether you're a free person or not, which is insane.